Hi friends, this is Vicki with Gramma Vicki Crafts, and today I made this beautiful poinsettia wreath and I'm going to show you how. So let's go and I'll show you step by step how I made this pretty wreath. So the supplies that we're going to need to make this pretty wreath will be an 8-inch wreath form from the Dollar Tree and a sheet of the plastic canvas, and I got this, I think I got this at Michael's, and it's the number 7 mesh. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to trace the inner circle all around and then cut that part out, and I'm going to zip tie this mesh onto my wreath. And while I'm cutting, I have a piece of felt, red felt, and this is going to be the backing for our wreath when we're all done. And I'm going to cut all around the outside edge of this as well. Then I'm going to use for the flower, I'm going to use this. It's called Celebrate It Christmas mesh, and I got this from Michael's. And this is going to be what I'm using to make our petals. So let's get started now. So I'm laying my mesh out now on my cutting mat, and I'm making these 10-inch strips. So I'm going to cut it at 20. And then again, I'll cut it at my 10-inch mark. So now to make our petal, we're going to make it curl side up. And you'll notice that there is a factory edge on this side, on the top, and on the bottom. So we're going to turn that into a diamond shape with the factory edge to the left and to the right. And I'm going to make my petal. I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to actually concentrate on wanting to make a point on the corner here. So I'm just going to use a little clothespin there and the same on this end to make that into a little point. So I'll put my clothespin there. So now I'm going to just flatten that out like that. I'm going to bring my bottom end up, which isn't necessarily straight. I'm going to bring it up towards the top seam there at the top, but not over the top seam. Then I'm going to bring this end over the top, and I want to make these two ends, the 2 points there, similar. Then I have some little elastics that I got from the Dollar Tree, just the tiny white clear ones, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to bring my folded corner at the bottom and the folded corner at the top. I'm going to bring those two corners together, and I'm going to put the elastic band around there, and there we have our petal. Should look something like that. So now I'll do that again. I've got my 10-inch piece of mesh folded side up, factory edge on this side and this side. So I'm turning that into a diamond shape. I'm going to bring my top corner down to the bottom, focusing on my corner pieces here, that I want those to be together, And I put my clothespin there and my clothespin at this corner. And now I'll just flatten it out. I'll bring the top part up and flatten it down. And then I'll bring this corner over top to this side with the two side pieces, end pieces, hopefully about the same length. Then I'll take my little elastic and I'll take this corner and this corner and I'll bring them together. My clothespin's off there. And then I'll put those two together, making our petal. So this is what our little wreath looks like so far. Now when I started on the bar right there, and I'm using little red zip ties that I got from the Dollar Tree in the hardware section quite some time ago. I'm not sure if they still have them there or not, but I had this on hand, so I'm using them up. So I've started, like I said, on that crossbar there. So now I've put on 4, and I think to the next crossbar, we'll be able to add 2 more. So I'm not on the outside rung, but I'm working on the second circle, the second ring there. So I'll put my zip tie just in there, and then I'm going to close it up. Not fully, just a little bit till it kind of, you can hear the zip. Then I'm going to add my next petal into the zip tie, and then I'm going to close that up nice and tight. And that is what that's looking like. Now, get you back up here a bit. And as you see, we've got all the petals going in the same direction, and that's what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and put the last one on. I think I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 or 6 in each section. So I'll carry on. So I have 6 petals in that first section between that first bar, from that bar to that bar. So now we'll either put in 5 or 6 more in each of the others, and remembering to snip your zip ties off as you go along with your little wire cutters. Okay, so let's make another petal. So this is the 10 by 10, and I've got the factory edge on this side and the factory edge on this side. I've put it into a diamond shape, and I'm going to go down to the bottom from the top, and then I'm going to connect my 2 corners as best I can to make a point over here. I'm going to add a little clothespin on the end of there, and I'm coming across to the other end to do the same thing. Then I'm flattening it out like so, and I'm going to take my points in the middle up to just below the top part there, and then I'm bringing the left corner over my right hand, and I've got my 2 points here that are at the same length. Then I'm going to gather up from the bottom to the top. I'm just going to push those together and put my tiny elastic band on the end of it. And there we have our little petal. So back to our wreath. Now I'm continuing along on this second rung again by putting in my little zip tie, and I'm going to just close it up just a wee bit till I hear the zip. Then I'm taking my petal, making sure that the factory edge is all going the same direction. I'm going to put my bottom of my little wreath where I've got my elastic band. I'm putting that down, and I've zipped it up nice and tight, and I'm just going to continue with the rest of my petals to fill that section now. So I have the outside row all finished, and I've got 15 petals on the outside row, and now I'm starting down onto the mesh, and I've got 2 petals on so far. And what I'm doing is I'm going sort of in between where the other outside petals are, and so I'm going to go all around and make a circle with petals all now in down onto the mesh. So I'll let you know how many I use when I get them finished. So I have the outside row all finished, and I've got 15 petals on the outside. Then my next row down, I went down 6 little squares. I counted down 6 little squares, went all the way around, and I've got 12 petals placed in there. So now I'm going to do one more little row, and then I'm going to save room to put my cute little centerpieces in. I've got 3 of these, and I'm going to place those in the center. So I'll carry on. So I've placed 4 more zip ties, one on the top, like north, south, and east and west. So up and down and across from each other. And then I'll put in my next petal, and we'll zip that in to place, and I'll see just exactly how many more we're going to need. So I'm just going to recap how we do the petal again. This is our 10-inch mesh that I've been using, and it's the curl side up. It has a factory edge on the left side and the right side. I'm going to turn it into a diamond shape. Then I'm going to bring my top corner up, well, my bottom corner, I guess, up to the top. Then I'm going to make sure that my corner pieces are evenly together on both corners, like so, clipping them with my clothespin. Then I'm flattening it out like so, and I'm going to bring the pointed corner down to this edge, putting my left hand down, my right hand down, using my left hand to bring the other corner up to the one corner on the table. Take my clothespins off, scrunch up my corners together, put on a little elastic band, like so, and there we have our little petal. So here we are so far. So I ended up putting 8 petals in around the center. So now I'm going to put in my little balls here, and I'm just going to stick them in, and we'll see how that looks. This is likely the hardest part, sticking these little balls down in these holes, and hopefully it'll cover up the rest of what didn't get covered by the mesh. Anyway, isn't it cute? So let's see what we've got here. So that's what that's going to look like. I'm going to play around with it a bit more, and I'm hoping I can put a little greenery on behind there too as well. So for the greenery for my wreath, I have found a remnant piece of a 21-inch roll of the deco mesh, and I'm going to lay that out on my cutting mat, and I'm going to bring it down to the bottom and measure, and I'm going to cut on the 10-inch mark. With my rotary cutter all the way across at the 10 inches here, right up like so. And then I'm also going to cut it at the 10-inch mark at the bottom. So then we'll have 2 10-inch pieces out of our 21-inch deco mesh. And I think we'll need 5 of these. So I'm going to do the fold for the leaves the same way as I did the fold for the petal. The only difference is we only have one side that is the factory edge. The other sides are all cut. So I'm going to make it into a diamond shape again, like I did the petal, bringing it down to the center, and again pulling it to the corners, putting on my little clothespin on both corners. And now the deco mesh does fray quite easily, so the less you can actually handle it, the better. And then bringing up the bottom to the top where the fold was, holding it down, bringing my left hand over and bringing it up to meet the other point. And that's going to be my leaf. And I'll just put a little rubber band around that as well. So I'm going to make 5 like that, and I'm going to put them on my wreath, and we'll see what it looks like. Now I have 5 of the green petals on the back. I have just got them placed there. So then what I did was I took my little red zip tie and I put it underneath the closest bar to the mesh, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it through the middle of where I have this elastic band around, and I'm going to zip it up. So now we want to make a hanger for our wreath. So there's lots of ways to just make a little hanger, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a chenille stem, and I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to fold it in half again, like so. So then when I separate it, I have like a little W, just like that. So now I'm just going to put the folded part down through that top ring, and the 2 spare pieces on each side, I'm going to just twist around and around this ring on either side, like so. And then the folded part, we have the hanger from. So I hope you could see that. So then you can just continue to fold your ends in tightly so they don't go anywhere. And you have your hanger on. So then the only thing that's left to do is to put our piece of felt on the back to cover up all of that working area there. So here's our completed poinsettia wreath for 2023. And I just hot glued this piece of red felt all around the edge of this wire wreath frame, just to hide what's on behind and to not scratch your wall. Now there's a name of this petal because I've watched a lot of videos, and the lady that designed this particular petal is Lori from Unique in the Creek, and she calls it the bubba petal. Now if you haven't been to her channel, she's Canadian and so am I, and she has designed a bunch of petals and her own working wreath forms. So if you haven't been there to see her do all her creativity, you must go there. Lori from Unique in the Creek. So this finishes mine on just the Dollar Tree frame and some deco mesh that I got from Michael's, and also these little decorations in the middle I also purchased from Michael's. So if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell, the bell button, so that you know what's coming up next. So thanks for watching, and always remember to be kind.